Hello Everypony, and welcome back. My name is Chokfi and I'd like to talk to you about the elements of harmony. Since the first episode, people have been theorizing and thinking critically about the elements of harmony, but actual canon information has been slow going to say the least. We now know that the elements of harmony come from the pillars of Equestria, that the elements are the distilled virtues of the pillars turned into magical artifacts. It no longer makes sense for Starswirl to treat it the way he does in the Diary of the Two Sisters. We have no real way of knowing how long it took for them. Could have been months, years, even decades. Honestly, I believe that it took about 15 years or more to distill the elements of harmony into what they are. Between the time that we see the pillars put their magic within it and the time we see the twin sisters getting it out. Because they created them, the pillars of Equestria are connected to the elements of harmony. To begin, I have to talk about them. The first of the pillars, Rockhoof, called his element strength. This was the virtue that he imbued into the Tree of Harmony. Out of all of the pillar virtues, strength is probably the one that has the least connection to its later incarnation. I'm sure that instead the connection is rather through connotation rather than explicitly stated. Both strength and honesty to the people that wield them are important in protecting those that they love. Rockhoof protects the village. Through strength, he digs the trench. But in reality, it is his protective nature that truly enters within honesty. Applejack, on the other hand, uses her honesty all the time to protect those that she loves. While she may be stubborn, she is still honest about everything, to a fault. She knows how to have the strength to be honest and tell people what they need to hear so that they can be protected. The second virtue, Somnambula's hope, is the most human of virtues, something that we are never said to have lost. We all hold hope, and losing hope can be the worst part of facing adversity. While laughter doesn't really mean this, Pinkie Pie's laughter is a way of holding on to hope and passing through fear, and in this way, they are connected. Flash Magnus's bravery became the loyalty of Rainbow Dash. While similar, bravery can mean many different things to different people. However, as the quality of showing strength in the face of danger, it makes sense. Loyalty can be a lot of things, but to Rainbow Dash it means giving up everything else to save her friends. What braver act is there? And in what way can you describe that, other than showing strength in the face of danger, and protecting those that she loves? Beauty and generosity are in no way the same thing, but they are complementary. Mistbane believes in the beauty of all things, and wishes to cherish and nurture it, even if it means giving up something. Rarity demonstrates this kind of generosity all of the time. All the way in the first episode, when demonstrating generosity in the first place, it was truly to preserve beauty. And even in the latest episode, the special for the holidays, Rarity gives up a gift that she wanted to give to Applejack to preserve the beauty within Pistachio. In this way, beauty and generosity are connected, and this is why they could change to suit each other. Depending on how you look at it, certain of the elements of harmony seem to be aspects of the virtues that created them. However, in the case of kindness and healing, it's clear that healing is an aspect of kindness. Meadowbrook will do anything and learn what is needed for a cure, from facing animals to trying to save entire towns of zombie hordes. That's kind. On the other hand, Fluttershy will often take in sick animals, and in that way she shows off her ability to heal with kindness. In the end, honestly, sorcery is the most problematic of the 6 virtues. While sorcery is a synonym of magic, it doesn't have much to do with the nature of the elements. However, when you look at the virtues in relation to the elements, it seems like the virtues are usually more broad or more self-sacrificing than the later elements. When you think of it, sorcery can be considered more sacrificial than regular magic, as magic can be anything, while sorcery is the process of learning magic. When you think of the 6th element as only coming from the others, you see how sorcery is different. Sorcery was created by the other 5 virtues. Because of the harder times they lived in, at least partially before Equestria was formed, the pillars are willing to sacrifice themselves for others. That's what differentiates sorcery from magic, as well as the other 5 elements from the other 5 virtues. After the pillars of Equestria, the 6 virtues were finally converted into the elements of harmony. This is when they formed within the Tree of Harmony and were collected by the 2 princesses. While there may have been other instances between the pillars and the main 6, we don't see them, and thus the princesses are the only other bearers than the main 6 that we know of. Each of the 2 princesses took 3 elements. This makes sense narratively, from a magical perspective as well. The princesses are powerful, and nigh incorruptible. While we don't know that they did, it seems likely that they had individual names for the elements, but I'm not sure in what way. As I wrote this, I questioned, did they give them individual names, or did they just call them the elements, or did they name them in groups of 3? Because we don't know, and because we probably never will know, I like to theorize that they did name them in groups of 3, and that they named them individually, just because it's more interesting that way to me. First of the 2 princesses is the younger sister, Luna. She was able to yield the 3 more combative of the elements: honesty, laughter, and loyalty. I think of each of these as being a protector in some way. I've decided that as a protector, I like to think of her as more of a knight than a ruler. She's a true servant of state, like Arturia from the Fate series. In this vein, I've decided to collectively call her virtues gallantry. First, there's honesty, or rather strength. This makes sense for Luna, because although she is powerful, she's the one that seems to act more as a protector. Between strength and honesty, there is honor, one of the great knightly virtues. Honor is about respect and integrity, and Luna applies that by protecting her people. Luna is a strong one, guided by Celestia's more caring heart. Second of Luna's virtues is laughter and hope. Every night, Luna dives into the nightmares that people dream. We don't see her do it that often, but it's clearly part of her regular duties. It's not like she focuses the entire night on raising and lowering the moon. Instead, she steps into people's minds and protects them. What greater connection could there be to Pinkie Pie's laughter or the hope of Sinamula than banishing fear within people's minds? I like to call this faith, as Luna has faith in her people, faith in herself, and instills faith in her followers. She uses that faith to stop the monsters of the mind, even those that she has created. Finally, bravery and loyalty. Every night Luna drives back nightmares in people's dreams. For Luna, her loyalty is to her kingdom, not just her friends. And I think valor, great courage in the face of danger, makes sense. Luna is valorous, brave in the face of battle, which is why she has to be written out of every conflict. She can't be as easily defeated as her sister. On the other paw, Celestia has the elements of generosity, kindness, and magic. These are the less combative, more self-sacrificing of the elements. Together, I believe they show that she is more of a sovereign. She can even qualify for her sister's elements, showing that she is broad and she knows what she can do. Everything she does is in full knowledge of what she means to other ponies, and what she does for them. I like to call this nobility, or regality, the measure of her as a ruler. Celestia shows generosity a lot in the show. When she taught Twilight, Celestia was generous enough to help her. She's very generous in giving her time to others, showing off her generosity. Within Celestia, I like to call this grace. Grace has both connotations of royalty and of divinity, what is given to a subject by their ruler. Kindness is difficult to say because it's synonymous in nature with generosity. Celestia is constantly kind to all of her subjects, and even to creatures like Discord and those of other nations. Celestia was the one that commanded that the main 6 try and reform Discord, a task that fell to Fluttershy. Celestia knew that kindness would be able to break him, and in Celestia I call kindness benevolence, the kindness a ruler has to a subject. Finally, there is magic, sorcery, considered the most powerful of the elements. Magic is considered to be friendship as a whole, as well as the ruling element of friendship. In Celestia, I would like to call this thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy is another synonym of magic, like sorcery, but it has certain connotations. In Western tradition is a term that can be used both for traditional magic and for miracles. The concept that she is a goddess has fallen by the wayside over the years, but there is still a deity-like reverence that many in Equestria feel. I consider calling this element divination as it's something that Celestia does, and it's clear that her visions come true. And yet, with the connotations of thaumaturgy as a more spiritual magic, I like to use that instead. Chokma Everypony! I'd now like to talk about a theory that I've had about the elements of harmony. I think that by the end of the show, they'll come into the possession of the Student 6. Whether these are the real element or some sort of power equivalent based on the same abilities, doesn't really matter. I think that by the end of the show, specifically by the end of the 9th season, the Student 6 will come into possession of them. We see two instances of the Student 6 interacting with the Tree of Harmony. First, when they get tested in the episode What Lies Beneath. For those that skip the episode or don't really remember it, a simple rundown is that the students study for a test and get discouraged by Cozy Glow. After fighting, they go and investigate a grain, and each ends up admitting that they don't believe that friendship is in their nature. The Tree of Harmony clearly wants something of them, and is horrified that they don't think that friendship is possible for them. The personification of the tree tests them. She uses this to prove that they can experience friendship. I believe this is an indication that they have deep connections, which is further vindicated by the actions in the finale. They end up using the power of the Tree of Harmony, taking aspects of the elements and saving the day. Well, it's true that they didn't graduate at that point. I think that by the end of the show they will, and this means that they will take over the elements, which they clearly have connections to. In this scene, Yona has an aura reminiscent of Applejack, indicating that she is the next bearer of honesty. Like the princesses, I'm only speculating, but I think that the Student 6 may have new names for the elements. However, I didn't do as well as I did with the princesses. For Yona, I like to call it integrity, the ability to show and say what she believes. It's connected to honesty, and I believe it connects well with her nature in facing fear, as well as her yak culture. The second of them is Silverstream, and this one is more clear. The most upbeat of them, it makes sense for Silverstream to be representative of laughter and hope. I like to call her element levity, a happiness she uses to face fear with her friends. She demonstrates this in the testing episode, as she is forced to face fear in a similar way to Pinkie Pie out of the first episode. While she needs Gallus' help, it's clear that she is able to embody this virtue. Next up is loyalty, which ends up on Smolder. Smolder is a dragon, but it's clear that she's willing to do anything for her friends. While it was rocky at first, she was able to learn to be strong and reliable to her friends. Honestly, I couldn't think of much, so I ended up calling her element reliability, the nature of always being there. She fights and works for her friends even when facing hardship. This is exemplified in the testing episode when she admits things about herself that she does not want to, including that she likes cute things and that she likes being friends. The fourth of the Student 6 is Ocellus, taking the element of generosity from Rarity and Mistbane. From the two, I think that she might have been easier switched with kindness. However, I think her generosity is shown more when she works with her friends. While it's not exemplified in the test, outside of it she is clearly the brains of the group. She's generous with her knowledge. While it's kind of a stretch, I like to call her element guidance, the ability to share and be generous with her knowledge and with her kindness. Admittedly, it's a little difficult because they walk the line. Sandbar is the reason Ocellus doesn't have kindness. It's on his shoulders. It's clear that he shows this quality when he's willing to give up something dire in his tests to go back and find his friends. He's always been kind, and while she used it meanly, Cozy isn't wrong that he took pity on the other creatures of the Student 6. Sandbar is the core, someone who is able to be kind to anyone, including those who are kinda jerks. Finally, there's Gallus with magic. Magic is hard because it's clear that it can change. Although out of them, the person with the magic seems to be the most resistant to having friends. Like Twilight and Starswirl, it's clear that he was resistant, but through the pushing of his new friends, he becomes good at friendship, even being able to overcome a clear claustrophobia to help his friends. I like to call his version of magic glamour, as the nature of magic becomes more and more pure as time goes on. For glamour, magic is illusionary or seductive, a power expressed by Gallus' puppy dog eyes if nothing else. However, I like it as a term because it's comforting. In the end, I don't know if these will be the final pairings, but I think that it's certainly what they were when they created this episode. I love this show, and if it's truly ending next season, I hope it ends with a true passing of the torch between generations. Equestria has had so many saviors, so what's wrong with giving a new generation of saviors a chance? A generation born to save the world, beyond Equestria. Thank you everyone. I just wanted to thank you for watching these videos. I considered trying to put some sort of interval between these and showing off my new art style, but honestly I'm too lazy. So here it is, my brand new style. I'm a brand new bunny. Thank you everyone who watches me, and I'm gonna be trying to make videos. I'm sorry that I have had so much schoolwork, and I hope that I can return to doing more videos in the future. I love you Everypony. Bye.